Peace. Salute. Brother Stephen X here, respectringmedia with another broadcast. I hope all of you are well and having a productive week. I wanted to chime in a bit on this whole, once again, this PED issue in boxing. It seems that every week we have a new story about a professional boxer getting busted for PED usage, but not only getting busted for PED usage, but also um, already getting a victory. And we find out weeks or a month or 2 months later, or what have you, that the boxer failed, tested dirty for performance enhancing drugs. So the latest PED cheat that we have in boxing is a fighter by the name of Francisco Rodriguez, whose rankings are under the WBC. And if you go to boxing scene, I read an article today, and I heard a video that Brother BF did. I watched that this morning, and I think he had shared this article. And the name of the article on boxing scene is called Erasure, a rematch between Galal Yafai and Francisco Rodriguez sends the wrong message. I haven't watched this fight, but definitely I think it's worth getting on the YouTube after this broadcast and watching the fight, or at least the highlights of it. I've heard reports about it and how Francisco Rodriguez apparently had an engine, a gas tank from round 1 to round 12. So I think it's definitely worthy of watching it. Those are the reports that I heard, but I remember hearing about him get busted a few weeks ago. And in this article, it just it lays out how Mauricio Suleiman um, has ordered a rematch. Can you imagine that? A rematch with a drug cheat. You have to share the ring again with a drug cheat, which is crazy. That's crazy work. Like what? I mean, really and truly, I don't want to read the whole article. Go to the boxing scene and watch it. It's a very detailed article. Um, but I wanted to use this story to talk more about this ongoing PED issue and the fact that we've reached a state in the sport of boxing where the incentive structure currently, the way it's set up, there's an incentive for fighters to take performance enhancing drugs to gain an advantage in the ring over their opponent so they can get the victory, knowing that they may not get caught, or, which is highly unlikely, I'm just going through their rationale, a cheater's rationale, a drug cheat's rationale. Or who cares? I get busted a couple weeks or 3 weeks or a month later. And then I can say, just like Jaime Munguia did too, the whole Ryan Garcia thing, my supplements were contaminated. I don't take performance enhancing drugs. I don't know how I failed this test. I don't know what's going on. Somebody else gave me the drugs. My trainer like, there's already built-in excuses in this warped and perverse incentive structure in the sport of boxing. And I don't hear these stories in other sports. Of course, there's drug cheating in other sports. We all remember Major League Baseball, um, and congressional hearings on it. Uh, Barry Bonds and all. Like we know track and field. Like we know, but I haven't heard that lately. The only time I hear about drug cheating in sports is through boxing. Now, I don't follow other sports the way I do boxing, but I don't think NBA players are failing drug tests the way boxers fail drug tests. I don't think so. Or who pick your league. There's a problem in the sport of boxing, and it was accelerated with Ryan Garcia initially beating Devin Haney. and the boxing world finding out, oh, he's a drug cheat, and not caring. And that's what opened the floodgates. And mind you, because of the way boxing is organized based along nationality and race, that also played a factor into the elevation of Ryan Garcia, getting a victory over an elite black boxer became more important than ethics and morality in the sport. In my last broadcast, I had talked to you guys about how I watched. I was at a Tank fight party, and I had watched Tank against Frank Martin, and we all know that Tank knocked out Frank Martin in that fight. And I was at the fight party, and just sharing more stories about that. I remember um, the guy I was going back and forth with, who was a Tank fan, saying something about the drugs. I can't remember exactly, but and I said, "What? You are okay with a guy taking drugs and then hitting somebody?" And then I pounded my hand like, "You're okay with someone taking your drugs and then hitting him?" And he just gave this like annoyed look and didn't say anything to what I had said. And I had shared this with Brother Freedoms once. He was doing a live, and I typed in the chat like, Tank. This was why I said this to Brother Freedom. I said Tank fans don't care, because he was talking about KO and how KO was calling Devin Haney an email no contest, and feigning support and being against drug usage in boxing. But I don't think he or any Tank fans care about drug cheating in the sport of boxing. And they don't care about fighters taking, especially in relation to Devin Haney. If Devin Haney's not in the game, they would care about drug cheating. But because Devin Haney's in the game and he's setting an example of 24/7, 365 VADA Olympic style testing, where people from VADA can show up, you give them your locations, and they could show up at any time, any given place, and randomly take blood and or urine from you and test it. He's the only fighter in the game doing 24/7, 365. Which is very interesting why he set an example. And usually when people set an example, especially a good example, people follow it. But not in this case. He still remains the only athlete or boxer on 24/7, 365 drug testing. So that makes you wonder, okay, what's going on? And then you hear pro boxers being okay with Ryan's win initially. Oh, PEDs don't affect your ability to get hit or not. And it's just such a juvenile arguments being made, all because of the envy and hatred towards Devin Haney. And so I'm latching on to this whole PED issue, and I've been really getting up to speed on everything, because I know that if there's no countering this, what will end up happening is drug cheats will not only remain drug cheats, other fighters will drug cheat, and nothing's going to be done about it, right? We saw that with this Mauricio Suleiman decision, the WBC. You know, so I mean, this is crazy that he's being forced, and I mean, it's not being forced. Yafai can go ahead and choose to go another route. But I just find it crazy. I know the article says that could happen in the case of Francisco Rodriguez, the Mexican flyweight, whose win over Galal Yafai on June 21st was marred by a failed PED test for the drug heptominol. Heptominol, a stimulant is, in addition to being used as a masking agent, just like weed is a masking agent, known to boost an athlete's stamina, increase blood flow to muscles, and help combat fatigue. And this is the reports that I was hearing, and I'm going to watch it after I do this broadcast. These are the reports I heard about Francisco, that he had a gas tank on him. He wasn't fatiguing. If found in Rodriguez's system, which it was, heptamol could and should be considered a contributing factor in how Rodriguez fought against Yafai last month. Well, look at the night and day difference between Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia versus Ryan Garcia versus Rolando Rolly Romero. Ryan Garcia was a completely different fighter. His left hook didn't have any pop on it. I think Jim Lampley had said that in the broadcast. No pop. He wasn't explosive. He wasn't fast the way he was against Devin. Everything you can tell. If you look at the performance of those two fights, one, he's enhanced with Devin, and against Rolly, he just looks average or below average. So it says here, and yet 5 weeks on, we still await his punishment. Last week, the World Boxing Council, WBC, announced that they had opted not to suspend Rodriguez, but to put him on a 12-month probation period, whatever that means. They said the result of the fight, a decision win over Rodriguez, was now null and void, which it should be, and that the fight was officially a no contest, which in turn hands the WBC interim title back to Yafai. They also proposed that this confusion and controversy should lead to only one thing, a rematch. Okay, so they're just trying to save face for the Mexican fighter, and the WBC is headquartered in Mexico City, which is interesting. In a statement, they explained, after a thorough factual and scientific review of the adverse finding and considering champion Rodriguez's admission of the circumstances of his non-intentional ingestion of a banned substance, and the fact that Mr. Rodriguez had reported in his WBC clean boxing program registration document that the use of an over-the-counter energy booster, which label included 2 banned substances, the WBC and champion Rodriguez agreed to enter into an adjudication agreement. So we have really one hand washing the other in this situation. The WBC needs him in the rankings. That's what I think is going on here. And even though it's a no contest and the title goes back to Yafai, the damage has already been done. We have somebody who decided to pop something to gain an advantage in the ring. And that's why I say boxing needs a reset. But who's going to reset the sport? The promoters? Who's going to reset the sport? The boxing media? Look at the narratives around Devin Haney and drug use. Look at the support for Brian Norman Jr. and him saying not wanting to get in drug testing right away, like last month, and not waiting 2 weeks till you realize if we had waited 2 weeks, he would still not be drug tested today. But he's enrolled now, and who knows? He's been drug tested. We'll see the results. Maybe he hasn't. I don't know for certain. But he did put out a cryptic tweet that suggests that he probably did get drug tested when he was on a trip in the Caribbean. And it is what it is. If you want to get in the ring with Devin Haney, you got to be drug tested. There's just no way any fighter should be obligated or get in the ring with people that don't honor and respect the rules of the sport, and they don't honor and respect the health of their opponent or even their own health, because PEDs have side effects, and side effects may be different, but there's physical side effects and emotional side effects when you take PEDs. And it's like, where do we go from here? Where does the boxing fan, because that's what I am. I'm a boxing fan. What can I do? Well, somebody has suggested in a chat, I think I forgot his name. I was on Brother BF's live chat, and he's suggested doing a petition, and I encourage him to do the petition. It's free on change.org. You'll get tons of signatures. He was doing a petition. He wants to do a petition around having a minimum of 6 months of drug testing, which includes a lot of lead up time before the fight. Right. And it wasn't a bad idea. Right. The standard 8-week testing pool is not good enough, because by then you can know how to cycle off, and you already have the added benefits of the drugs in your system. The earlier the drug testing, the better. The earliest. That's much better than getting results after a fight's already done. The damage has already been done. And when I say the damage, you've been hit upside up your head by a drug cheat. So somebody that was hitting you harder than they should have been hitting you, who was probably faster than you and it didn't fatigue, how is that fair? Right? The article goes on to say, either way, when it comes to a rematch, that should be the decision of Galal, Yafai, and no one else. I agree. It was Yafai who took the punches in fight one, and it was from his career. Rodriguez, the winner, took years. A result can always be changed and belts can be handled back, but damage can never be undone. This Yafai will know. Oh, that was a quote from his brother earlier. His brother Gamal arguably summed it up best when he took to social media to write a 12-month ban in a rematch could write it in what a load of con men. Let me read that again. A 12-month ban and a rematch couldn't write it. Okay. Meaning he couldn't write them himself. And what a load of con men. Yeah, well, the sport of boxing is full of con men and scoundrels. And it's up to us who hold a high level of conduct, ethical conduct, continue to remain ethical about these issues, continue to be on the right side of history when it comes to these drug cheating bastards in the sport of boxing. Don't let the bastards grind you down, as they say. These guys are a disgrace to the sport of boxing. I think all drug cheats should be kicked out of boxing, or they should be given very lengthy suspension times. 1 year is not good enough. 2 years is better than 1, and 3 years is better than 1 and 2. 3 years out of the game. Go ahead and cycle off your drugs and go start choosing a new career. But you can't be in the sport of boxing and juicing up and then hitting somebody for an advantage. It's wrong. It wouldn't be tolerated in any other sport, this level of cheating. But this is the wild, wild west of boxing. We're living in interesting times. And then I'm not hearing anything about Munguia, his B sample coming back positive. Just the A sample was positive, and recently the B sample. What are we going to do about that? Folks, we have a lot of work to do as boxing fans. If it's tweet it that you're against drug use in boxing. If you're on YouTube, do a video about it. Right? There was a brother with that petition. If you hear me, reach out to me. Respectringmedia@gmail.com. I can help write it on change.org. Let's make a difference in the sport of boxing. There's more of us that wants a clean sport than more of them that don't. And a lot of them only support it because Devin Haney and Bill Haney are in the game. And they're setting example of no drugs. No drugs. We're going to train hard and be natural He is just that's the honorable thing to do. When you're an athlete, that's all about athletic achievement, athletic dedication, hard work, getting in the gym, meeting and overcome your obstacles. That's what the whole grind is about. Not taking shortcuts and putting needles in your arms for a win. And I think Bud Crawford has to be very careful before his fight with Canelo. So Bud Crawford needs to push the fact, hey, uh, where are Canelo's drug tests? I haven't heard anything. Can he go ahead and reveal those drug tests, please, from VADA? Because all I hear is Bud's. All I hear about is Bud's test results coming back negative, but not Canelo. Got to keep our eye on that because Canelo has been busted in the past. And can one be reformed? Sure, but they have to show it. And I need to see a drug test from Canelo ASAP. ASAP. Not after the fight. Need it before. This boxing game right now needs a reset. It needs leaders like Devin Haney. He's a leader. We have to support the leaders of clean boxing. Support them any way we know how and can. Yeah, that's the way things got to go forward. Taking no prisoners approach to these drug cheats. They're very bad for the sport, brothers and sisters. They're not good. And we know that black fighters can't take PEDs. That's crazy. That would be a death sentence on your career. Can you imagine if Devin Haney took steroids against Ryan Garcia? There would be hell to pay for that. I doubt he would even be back in the ring with how much hatred is in the sport for him. And I circle back to that Tank fan who didn't care that Ryan was on drugs. They do not care, which is crazy. They don't care about drug cheating. They got to go. So the boxing game definitely needs a reset. You and I are going to be part of that reset. We're going to put out the information. We're going to argue our point on why boxing should remain clean and not riddled with supernatural drugs that in a game of just missing being hit or how fast and quick boxing is, PEDs give you an advantage, an unfair supernatural advantage, and all of them should remain banned and never to be used again. So the boxing game needs a reset. I need that brother to reach out to me about the petition, respectringmedia@gmail.com. Let's see how we can bump heads and make this petition. I've made petitions before. That's my background and had people sign it. So let me know. I think I'm going to leave it there. Respectringmedia.com is where you can check out my articles, check out the work there. Send me an email at respectringmedia@gmail.com. I'm on Twitter, respectringnews. You'll see Respectring Media is the entity. If you want to support in any way of a financial nature, you can go ahead and send a Cash App to Respect Ring News. And I think that's all I have for now. But until the next time, peace and blessings. And let's clean up the sport of boxing and make things go right. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good one. Bye for now. Peace.